Here we have a whole, you guys want to come on a content ride with me? I got Joe Rogan, Eddie Bravo, Joey Diaz, Brendan Schaub. They're all sitting down together for a fight companion. They're randomly watching the fight, and all of a sudden this event's going on in Canada and the crowd just starts chanting something about Trudeau. Can you guess what it was? Like, I love Trudeau? Maybe it was that. Stay tuned for that. We're going to play that right at the beginning. Then I have a whole bunch of clips. Joe Rogan is calling for the liberation of Canada. Tucker Carlson's calling for the liberation of Canada. Tucker Carlson goes and answers the call to liberation. He goes to Canada. He gives an incredible speech. He says so many great things. I'm going to be showing you clips from that. I'm going to be showing you clips of people chanting what they were chanting at the UFC event. I'm going to be showing you some articles because there was a huge backblast from Tucker Carlson actually giving this speech in Canada. I mean, the machine activated. Everybody from mainstream media to actual politicians addressing it. Everybody's up in arms about it. Wild stuff. Just come on this ride with me. I promise it's going to be a fun one. Don't forget about IamCoachColin.com. We got sold out for sale. We got Public Enemy #1. Discount code is IamCoachColin. All capital letters, all one word, one L in the name. Colin. Let's get to this clip first.
Mosvar Evelev. This guy's a beast.
Tough fight for Arnold. Oh, Eddie, you asked about Arnold Allen.
He's a beast too.
Arnold Allen, who's fighting Mosvar.
Okay. Yeah.
So he was coming up. He was like, he's from England. He's the shit. His dad was a strongman guy and told his kids because he had to do steroids. He was like, never do this. Never ever do this shit. Don't do what I do.
And they did it.
No, Arnold's completely against it.
Okay.
Like all clean. Savage.
Yeah, Arnold's a 145er. This is a great fight, though.
Tough fight for Arnold.
Evelev is so smooth and he's so complete. He is one of the very best in that division at the transition between striking and grappling and being even on both fronts. Like, he's a very good striker and a very good grappler. He's world class at both things.
Monster.
There's a few of those guys like Ilia Topuria. Like, Ilia Topuria is a perfect example of a guy who has no weakness. He's so good at grappling and he's so good at striking and he's a fucking savage.
Tough fight for Alex, right? Especially coming off that knockout.
So tough.
Magomed?
So tough. That one is in. I'm doing that one. That's the one in California.
That's right.
I only do United States of America, motherfucker.
That's it.
That's it. I do pay-per-views in the United States of America. It used to be North America. I used to do Mexico, and I used to do Canada.
Not anymore.
Then Mexico got a little sketch, and then Canada got communist. And I'm like, fuck you. I'm staying here. America.
I'm sitting here going, there's something missing. I'm like, wait, I'm high, smoked weed, I had a coffee.
No gay stuff. Brian's not here.
Whiskey.
Alcohol. That's right.
That's what we're missing.
Young
right?
Jamie.
You
Fuck Trudeau.
Was that the UFC?
Yelling, fuck Trudeau.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
That guy's
Canada,
a piece of shit.
Canada, get your shit together. Come back. Come back to what you used to be. That Pierre Polivier guy, however you say his name, that guy makes sense.
He's also Fidel Castro's kid. We know. I'm not a big conspiracy guy.
I don't know if that's true.
Come on, Eddie, back me up on this. Educate him.
It's not that
tell you
crazy. It's not that crazy.
He looks
His
a
mom,
lot like
crazy.
Castro.
Look at
His
the
mom.
But
and-
here's the thing.
Thank you, sir.
Realistically, I've looked at this. He also looks like his dad. His dad looks like Castro. His dad's very similar in facial structure to Castro.
But-
But explain the mom going to
hanging
Cuba.
out, and he's got
9 months
why it's
before
fun.
Fidel was holding him, going,
That's why it's
"Hey."
fun. That's why it's a fun theory.
And she's on the flight logs
Listen,
so many times.
This could all
by
be
herself.
solved with a very simple DNA test. If I would do, if someone was accusing my dad of being Castro, if someone said, hey, your grandfather was Mussolini, I'd be like, no. What are you talking about? Yeah, look, your grandma fucked Mussolini. You think your grampy, the guy that used to take you fishing, you think that was your grandfather? No, your grandfather was Mussolini. I'd be like, no. I
And
would
then,
have to find
and then they
out.
showed you a
You do a DNA.
picture.
Find out.
Then they showed you a picture of Mussolini holding you. You'd be like, "Oh shit, it's looking pretty great."
Your mom was down there all
I'd be
the
like,
time.
Grandma, what did you
Fidel
do?
was holding
Listen,
Justin
you never
Trudeau.
know with Fidel. What never came out about Fidel was that he slung dick like a motherfucker.
Of course he did.
And the way he did it was he'd go in a restaurant, his security would go in first, and one personnel would come up to a woman, give her a card to call a doctor.
Call a doctor.
Go to this doctor tomorrow.
So you get him checked?
He'd get him checked first. Fidel was a gangster.
He would get him
Get
checked.
him checked out, doctor.
The doctor would
vag,
scan
the whole
them.
fucking thing, and then they come to the palace.
Joey, no.
Oh, my God.
That's Trudeau. That's
Joe, you
Trudeau's
got to have a
dad.
little sip. You got to have a little sip.
No, later on. Towards the
Later
end.
on?
Yeah,
What is
so
this?
I get a little
What
kick.
the-
I'm still fucking flying off the nicotine. Fucking
Buffalo Trace.
thing. I love that shit.
It's just a little taste.
I'm gonna have to
a
snort
sip,
those fucking
a
little
sip
nicotine
for a
bags.
toast.
Look, I get heartburn.
I'm
bad,
just a
bad,
sip,
bad.
a little like
Hit me,
like
hit me. Give me
Obama
one.
in
What the
Flint, Michigan.
fuck?
Give him one. Give him one, Eddie. Give
Let's
him
do
one.
this shit.
Like Obama in Flint, Michigan. Remember when he drank the water? Can I get a glass of water? And he takes it like this. That's what he did.
That's right. With the water.
This is not a stunt. Can I get a glass of water?
Thank you, brother.
Come on, man.
Gentlemen,
Salute to all you
my
motherfuckers.
brothers.
Always
My
a
brothers.
pleasure.
I love
shit.
you guys to death.
Love you, man.
Love you.
So good to see you. We about to do this.
So good.
Beautiful. Always good to cheers after an F Trudeau rant. That's how it is. I believe that's customary in Canada. It has to be. Now let's just get right into it. I'm going to show you the actual clip because Jamie just kind of played it. He didn't actually show the crowd actually chanting it because they don't show anything from the UFC event because that would be illegal. Even though Joe could get away with it, they're not allowed to do that. So I'm going to show you the actual crowd going wild. Here we go. And then I'm going to show you them saying it in another place as well, because this was just going on from the windows to the walls. This was the vibe throughout the entire place. So let's just get into this. So that was in the actual stadium, thousands upon thousands of people chanting that. And then this gentleman, Ben Bankus, a Canadian comedian, was actually there. And I guess he caught this while he was just in the, I don't know, concession area or whatever you want to call it. So this was just a feeling in the air throughout the whole event. Now, this has no correlation with Tucker Carlson. It was just something that happened. Joe Rogan felt called to tell Canada that they need to come back to what they used to be. Tucker Carlson was actually interviewing somebody who was involved in the trucker convoy. And, you know, Tucker Carlson's very alarmed with what's going on in Canada. So he interviewed somebody there. And now he's planning on actually going to Canada. So we're just going to play this really quick because this is actually a very serious message, okay? Very serious by Tucker Carlson. Oh, let's unmute that quickly.
For all urgent...
Messi.
Now, that's actually really funny. But at the same time, if you are the Prime Minister of Canada and you see that, somebody saying we're going to liberate the country. They're from the United States. They have a massive following, and they're actually coming to your country. Tucker Carlson's definitely on a watch list. Definitely. He might get banned from the country for what he's done. And I know you're thinking, what could he have possibly done? What's the big deal? Well, you're going to see in a second, but I want to play something for you first. Tucker Carlson was interviewing someone from the trucker convoy, like I said, and he just pointed out something that actually happened recently in Canada, just to give you a little window into the press and how they're being treated in Canada. This always really gets to me when press gets treated like this, because they are the last line of defense towards awareness. An informed citizen is the cornerstone of a functioning society. You know what I mean? So let's just get into this.
Seem like scary threats to Canada. Mission accomplished. So what you have in a country like Canada, where you have an authoritarian government that's taken away civil liberties, a dying middle class, and no media, is you have almost nobody pushing back against the lies. There is maybe one news organization left in Canada that asks very simple questions of the people who run the country. Why are you doing this? Can you answer the question? That's Rebel News. Watch one of their reporters try to ask Krista Freeland, who's the finance minister of Canada, spent many years in Washington, D.C., known to many people who lived in D.C. as a kind of low IQ functionary. She now has power, and she does not want to answer any questions from the one independent media organization remaining in Canada. Watch what happens when a reporter tries to get her to answer the question.
Ms. Freeland, how come the IRGC is not a terrorist group? Why is your government supporting Islamo-Nazis? What? Excuse me. What are you doing?
You're under arrest for assault.
What, sir?
Why are you
pushing
me? You're under arrest for assault. You're under arrest for assault.
Police, you're under arrest for assault. How am I under arrest? You bumped into me. You pushed into me. You bumped. I was just scrubbing. I got my credentials here, and you just bumped into me.
Can I have the microphone? Can I have the microphone? Can I have the microphone? No. Can you give?
I'm not officer. Take your hand out. Why am I under arrest? I'm just doing my job. This is your Canada now, folks. You know, this is the Gestapo taking blackface's orders.
So Canada has descended to an extremely dark place, and there are a lot of threads to the story. We're going to Canada very soon to see it for ourselves. But before we go, we thought we would speak to Gord McGill, who knows a lot about this. He is a Canadian and a trucker.
Now, this is a very dark place, because this gentleman from Rebel News, his name is Dave Menzies, I believe. Anytime you want to know about what's going on in Canada, you can go to Rebel News. They have the scoop. They also have correspondents in Australia, the UK, I believe, maybe, and in a small startup that's beginning in America. They are some of the people who still do what the press is supposed to do. You know, politicians and the press are not supposed to be laughing together, being friendly together. When a politician sees a member of the press, they're supposed to understand that there is a certain pressure that is coming their way, a hard question is coming their way, and that they better have an answer for what's being asked, because that person who is of the press is asking this question for the people. So basically, they're looking almost like a spokesperson for the people is coming up to me and is going to ask me a question. And whatever I say is going to get back to the people. You know, there are some of the few people that are still doing that and pursuing people like this, just not waiting to go to where the White House press secretary is going to be and asking these staged questions. None of that nonsense. None of that nonsense. They find the people, they find out where they're going to be, and they actually hound them with questions. And this tactic that they just used, her security, the police, I'm gathering that the police are her security. That's how that works. Her name's Chrystia Freeland. She's actually a member of the WEF and the Bilderberg Group. So just take that in for a second, how compromised Canada is. Somebody at one of the highest positions is a part of the Bilderberg Group and the WEF. Just fantastic. But that tactic that they used just now, he just stepped in front of a member of the press. Obviously, you're going to get bumped into, and then he takes that as assault, and then he arrests the gentleman. It's very, very interesting. That's a wild. I hate when I see stuff like that, because I don't think people realize how dark things can get when that starts happening. When somebody in the press is just like, I just need to ask you a question, and a police officer steps in front of them and goes, oh, that's assault. Oh, come with me, sir. That's crazy. And she didn't answer the question at all. She didn't even say no comment. That's dark. That's a dark place to be in. Very, very dark place to be in. Let's move on. We got that already. What's this clip? Oh, that's Tucker Carlson. Now we have the actual speech, because Tucker Carlson decided to actually go to Canada. He went to Edmonton, Alberta, and he gave an amazing speech, and he had a massive crowd. I had no idea. Apparently, Tucker Carlson is doing something called the Sworn Enemy Tour. Sworn Enemy Tour. So he's going from place to place, and one of the stops is Alberta, Canada. I don't know if he has more stops in Canada. I imagine he's going to be banned from Canada soon, because they're just going to take that liberty. A police officer is going to step in front of him and be like, you assaulted me. But let's play the first clip. I have two more after that. Then I'm going to show you the backlash that came from Tucker Carlson actually giving this speech. And I want you to just hear what he's saying and then see what the media branded him as. Again, hear what he's saying and then see what the media is branding him as. Watching this stuff happen in live, like real time nowadays. It's wild. Let's switch over here. Tucker Carlson.
Thank you truly for having me. Wow, that was the wildest intro I've had ever. Someone just gave me this T-shirt, which I just love so much. I'm actually going to wear it in the privacy of my own home. Al freaking Berta, baby. What a great province this is. What a great country this is. In fact, I should just be told, I've never said this to anyone, including my wife, but I know that in Canada it's official policy that coming out of the closet is good, unless you're the Prime Minister. So I'm going to reveal something about myself that I've never revealed, which is that I am part Canadian. And yes, I am. I actually am part Canadian. And I was thinking this morning, I was like, I always say I'm the only American who's like legitimately interested in Canada, and I am, and I always have been. And I wonder, why am I so obsessed with Canada? And I thought, because I'm part Canadian. My great-grandfather, actually my father's family was in the colonies, and then they brought democracy, and they're like, we're out, we're going to Nova Scotia. And so they spent a couple hundred years there. The Rayfuses, they're still there, by the way. I think they're all liberals, but And then my great-grandfather's like, I'm going to try that again. So he comes to the United States, and I'm here as a result. So I feel it. In me is Canadian. And I've been all over your country, and I've been everywhere in your country, and I just think it's a remarkable place. And I think people don't quite understand what Canada is because so much of it is bumped right up against our border. And I would argue, no offense, that the least impressive places in Canada are right up against our border. But once you get past that, it's just unbelievable. I've been to this city a lot because of your mountains, which I just find beyond belief, really the prettiest places I've ever been. This country is the prettiest country I've ever been in. The second biggest country in the world, bigger than the United States, deeper oil reserves than the United States, more natural resources than the United States, and 1/9 the population. And when I hear the lunatics that run your government are like, our population's growing, we're so excited. I'm like, really? You want to live in a crowded country? 40 million people in the world's second biggest country? That sounds like the kind of place I want to live. Like, what are you even talking about, you morons? But anyway, so I've come to Canada a lot, and every time I come, so many things strike me. First and foremost, the natural beauty, the unbelievable natural beauty, prettier than Switzerland, in my opinion. And the second thing I notice is the politeness of the people. That's real. And the third thing I notice is that all the comedians left decades ago. And it brings it out in me. And making fun of Canadians, and as I've already told you, and I hope it's obvious, is done with love. But I just can't control myself because no one will ever laugh at your joke. And so every time I go to Toronto, which I try not to do, but I do wind up there, every time I check in a hotel, I'm like, you guys have hot water? Like, where'd you get all the electricity? This is unbelievable. And they always have the same responses. We've had electricity for a long time, eh? Like, no, it's a joke. You don't really have sled dog parking in front. I know that. No, we haven't had sled dogs in a long time, eh? And so I just love it. I've told so many sled dog and Molson jokes. And I'll never stop.
So let's move on. I'm going to go to another clip, Tucker Carlson talking. He gets a little more serious as the speech goes on because, he has a real soft spot for Canada. Well, you know what? I think he has a real soft spot for freedom. And you're just watching in real time it getting taken away from Canada completely. And again, I've covered this at length. You have the two highest positions, the prime minister and the deputy finance minister, that woman that we just saw get a member of the press arrested for asking a question. You have both of them. One of them is in the Bilderberg Group and the WEF. The other one is in the WEF, went through the Young Global Leaders programming. It's so crazy. It's so crazy to see. It's so crazy that it's allowed. You know? Like Joe Rogan makes sure every time Canada comes up to say Canada is communist. It's not just a running joke he has. It's something that needs to be pointed out. Because there's a lot of people who come from that type of background, countries that had that happen. And they see the precursors to it. They can see it. When it happens, when it starts happening, they can see it. They go, oh, that's partly how it starts. My father told me that's something that they do. That's something that they do. They see it. So it's not something to be ignored. It's really not. And now Tucker's been doing the exact same thing as Rogan, calling it out from time to time, but now he's getting really serious about it, and he's starting to speak about it. Let's get into this next clip.
Power would evaporate like a puddle on a hot day, like you'd be done, because it has that effect. And so to look at your enemies, like let's say you had some sort of weird prime minister like to dress up in fussy costumes. It would be super important to point that out a lot, like relentlessly. Somebody told me last night that his base, I was asked, we had this wonderful dinner last night with two of the most famous people in Canada, probably the two most famous people, Lord Black and my friend Dr. Jordan Peterson, and I asked, like, is there anyone in the country who supports this guy? He's so, I know him I've never met him, I only know him through television. I know his cousin Gavin Newsom pretty well, but I don't know him. Is there anyone who takes him seriously? And everyone in the room said, oh, yeah, young people, particularly young women, take him very seriously. They love him. And I thought, there's really only one way to combat that, And that's by pointing out what an absurd poser this guy is. He's like a ridiculous figure. Like, you should dislike and resist Justin Trudeau and his government to the maximum extent of your ability. But before you do that, you should just laugh at him until you can't breathe. Seriously. The guy's like, he's showing up for a costume party when no one else is. There's no costume party, and there's Justin Trudeau. Like, speaking as some sort of moral voice. Weird little cross-dresser. So anyway, that's my first piece of advice. My second piece of advice, once you've done that, which is very effective, and I know it's not the Canadian way because it's such a polite society that everyone feels morally bound to take everyone else's point of view very seriously and sort of nod gravely and pretend to consider their perspective. But there are some perspectives that aren't in fact perspectives, they're attacks on you. And that's the main thing that I want to say in the short time allotted today, is that you should recognize what is happening to you. This is not a political debate to which you've been invited to participate. This is a destruction of you and your culture and your beliefs and your children and your future as a country. And that's not overstatement. It's provable statistically. So just take 3 steps back. If you have a government that is giving fentanyl to your children, as they are in BC, I notice your premier has a no fentanyl to kids policy, God bless her. I know, and you're applauding. I mean, and I'm applauding, and I'm grateful. But how distorted is your world where you have to applaud the one politician's like, we're not going to give fentanyl to the kids today. Okay? But then take 2 steps further back from that and ask yourself, if someone's giving fentanyl to your children, what's kind of the message of that? Well, they're trying to kill your children, obviously. Fentanyl? It's the #1 cause of death under 40 in the United States. #1 in the whole country, followed by suicide. If you want to know where we are, we're about 2 years behind you. And it's only because we have a louder media space than you do that we aren't ahead of you. But if someone's giving fentanyl to your children without telling you, they're trying to kill your children, which are your inheritance, so the only meaningful thing you will ever produce on earth, okay, are your children. That's the first thing to know. Second, if they...
Man, and just so you know what he's talking about, he's not overstating it. He's not making that up. There's actually something going on right now where they want BC plans to give a safer supply of fent to minors and parents won't have a say. It's pretty wild. Pretty wild, honestly. I can't show the rest of the article because it actually has like pills and stuff, but yeah, that's a real thing that's actually happening. So it's interesting. It's interesting. You do have to really think about what things like that actually say. Tucker Carlson talks about architecture, and I remember when he was talking about it, it was an interesting conversation, but he was like, when a country has certain architecture, it says something. It kind of shows what they think about the people. Like if there's a massive church and it's beautiful and it's taken 140 years to build and they keep it pristine, well, then the people in that community are going to be proud of that. If everything where you live, if it's all just boxes, they're kind of telling you just get in your box and be happy. Just get in your box, get in there, It's the difference between a dog that gets to go to a beautiful house and there's a little bed and a little thing of water and little doggy doors and all sorts of nice soft things for them, and a dog that has to go to a shelter. They just get crammed into a crate and they sit there and they never get let out. Kind of it does show there are many things that you can look at that the elites, people in power, are doing, where you can't just look at it and say, well, that's just a thing they're doing, and it's a terrible thing, and they're dumb. It's not always that. It kind of actually does tell you what they think of you every single time, and people really should take it like that. It's very interesting. But let's get into the next clip I have. Tucker Carlson is talking about inalienable rights and using them, as we all should. Let's get into this. Make this a little larger for the people at home. I know I have some older folks watching. Let me make it nice and big for you. I'm kidding. Let's get into that.
It doesn't matter who's in the Prime Minister's office. Your rights remain the same because you were born with them, because you are not a slave, you're a human being, and you have inherent dignity because God made you. That's just a fact. And if they're taking those rights away piecemeal and doing so in the name of public safety, even as they make the public sphere much more dangerous, which they have, in case you haven't noticed, Canada has a lot more violent crime now than it did 20 years ago. Have you noticed? Of course you have. You live here. And if they're telling you you can't defend yourself against that crime, we're going to disarm you, you can't protect your life or your family, and you're like, oh yeah, it's for the public safety, it's just not a big deal. These are weapons of war. No, they're weapons of self-defense, which you need and deserve as a free person, not a slave. And then they're telling you you can't complain about it. And then they're subsidizing the media to the point where all of your big media outlets, which are disgusting, are state media because they're taking state cash. Do you watch CBC? I do, occasionally. I can turn in any hour of the day and I will learn that I am racist for driving an SUV and not being trans. That's the whole schedule of CBC programming. But interpret that. That's not woke. Oh, it's woke. I hate the woke crap. It doesn't mean anything. They hate you. That's what they're saying. They're saying that you are bad. That's exactly what they're saying. Don't lie to yourselves. That's all I'm saying. And we're very delusional in the United States because we're so distracted by stuff and electronic devices and the promise of next day delivery from Amazon of brightly colored plastic crap made in China that we tend to be slow to figure out what's going on. But Canada has a different restraint, which is a cultural one. It's an specific Anglo-cultural one, which is just like, I don't want to deal with that. That's too uncomfortable. But in your heart, anyway, even if you voice it to no one but yourself, know what the message is. And the message is, you are bad. I mean, I'm going to say the most controversial thing ever. I watched when Montreal was cleansed of its Anglo legacy. And I'm not anti-French, just for the record, at all. But I am Anglo, and I had friends in Montreal. And in the span of a generation, like, that's all gone. They were forced out. And they're like, okay, I guess we'll go to Ontario. What? My grandfather built this city. I'm not going anywhere. How about that? That never occurred to anyone. Because no one could say out loud what was actually happening. This was a series of acts of hostility aimed at you because of things that you didn't choose, like how you were born. And once you will keep allowing that, you have no future, okay?
Man, that's well put. That's well put. I don't know much about what was happening in Montreal, but I can say, just from hearing that was kind of the same thing everybody was, well, not everybody, but there were people feeling that way when they were taking down statues. You know, Robert E. Lee, you know, like just all sorts of presidents. They were throwing paint on them. They were tearing them down, renaming places. Like, it's kind of the same thing. And it's always in the name of these people were bad, but in reality, it's to kind of change history right before your eyes. But they need your consent in order to do it. So it's like, let's paint these people as slave owners. You know, it's even getting down to the Constitution where it's like, well, a slave owner wrote that. We are better people today. We should be able to change this. We don't want to listen to slave owners, right? We're not racist here. It's like that kind of thing. Yeah, it's pretty wild. Pretty wild. And it goes back to exactly what he was just saying again. It shows what they think of you when they do stuff like this. You know, like when you're talking about the mainstream media, if every single thing that a man does is toxic, they're kind of showing you we don't like we hate today's men. You're a problem, change. You know? If they allow anybody, you know, to be a woman, they're kind of saying to you that they don't really care about women. You know? A lot of things that are done, and it's always for us to protect and to have a better society, and you don't want racist people running things and misogynistic people running things, but really you got to look at it and say, what is that act saying to me? You know? It's like somebody's in your neighborhood and they just pull out a trash bag and just dump trash all over it. What would that say to you? Is that just, you know, because sometimes a lot of people could look at it and go, oh, what an idiot. Look what he's doing. What an idiot. What's he doing? He's just dumping it there? Huh. This guy has no sense. But what he's really saying, he's like, I don't care about your community. I'm not from this community. I will do this here, and I will go back to my clean community. You know? It's kind of like with the elites, a lot of the things that they suggest to us, they don't do. You know, Joe Rogan brought up Davos and how they have so many segments about people not eating as much meat. 1 billion people should stop eating meat, but then also they're getting served chicken and steak and pork and all sorts of things while they're there. You know? Like it's just silly. You know, you should drive less. You should drive less, but I'm going to take a private jet after we're done having this conversation. And I'm going to take it 6 minutes away. I'm going to get in a jet for 6 minutes. I'm going to fly 6 minutes. I'm going to land, because that's how I do it. But you should really calm down on the driving. It's a little much. You should switch to electric. It's like, what? I don't know. It's interesting, but let's check out the backlash that came about for Tucker when he did this whole thing. Just a quick 30-minute speech really got people up in arms. Letters, Jan 20th. Tucker talk not welcome in Canada. I was like, oh, interesting. As a senior citizen, as a senior Canadian citizen, I was appalled to hear that the city of Edmonton is allowing Tucker Carlson, who is a disgusting, lying American, to spread his hate-filled rhetoric in our country. You should be ashamed of yourselves. How does allowing this horrible person to speak to Canadians help our country in any way? It unequivocally does not. I love how it's just like they answer it themselves. Cool. I can only hope that enough folks complain so that Rogers Place Group and the city of Edmonton realize their decision to let this horrible person speak in our country must be reversed. This is crazy. Now, again, remember what I said. Listen to what he was saying. Inalienable rights, beautiful country. I love this place, have Canadian relatives in my bloodline, all of this stuff, and that's what they're taking. Spreading hate, lying American. Very interesting. This is just a straight up petition. Now, if you don't know what the NDP is, this is a party, and I'm probably going to butcher this, but it's a party in Canada. So they got Liberal, they got NDP, they got Conservatives, and apparently the Liberals and the NDP were allowed to make a coalition of sorts somehow, so they have more power. I don't understand. But obviously they ended up making this. It's like a petition. Tucker Carlson's hate isn't welcome in Canada. Let Tucker Carlson know that Canadians don't support his hateful rhetoric. Again, think about what he was saying just now, and does it add up? Does it add up at all? American right-wing Fox News personality Tucker Carlson called for the United States Armed Forces to liberate Canada while there. That kind of language is exactly what led to the failed violent J6 insurrection in Washington. Pierre Poilievre conservatives refuse to condemn the comments. Sign here to tell Tucker Carlson his brand of hate isn't welcome in Canada. How wild is this? Just from saying he's going to liberate Canada in a video that's obviously a joke. Obviously a joke. Like, what do you think? You think people are going to assemble and be like, today's Liberation Day? Like, come on, man. They all knew what they were going to. They're just going to watch Tucker Carlson speak. It's just like the same thing when they watch Jordan Peterson speak. Here's the Toronto Star. Here's what happened when Tucker Carlson shared the stage with Canadian Premier. I think this is an older one. Let me check the date on this. No, January 24, 2024. Tucker Carlson would like you to know that he loves Canada. This is a great country, blah, blah, blah. Just talking about the distant relatives. We all know that. It's a bit of a climb down from a year ago when Tucker Carlson, who became a cultural force because of his adventurous Fox time slot and affinity for Donald Trump and his base, aligning him with Donald Trump right away. Just so you understand who they're talking about, right? Just make sure to align it with Donald Trump right away. Was calling for Americans to invade and liberate Canada. the country from Justin Trudeau's control. Indeed, on Wednesday, he was here to share a stage with Danielle Smith, the libertarian-leaning premier of Alberta, who has spoken fondly of Ron DeSantis and the little bastion of freedom in Florida. So, it's just getting there. This is straight up state media. This is CBC. They get, I think I did a video on this, they get $600 million to $1 billion a year from the government, so they never cover the government in a negative tone at all. So anything that kind of is a swipe at Trudeau or his party, they don't really go for that type of thing. You know, same song and dance throughout the mainstream media machine, you know, throughout the world. Tucker Carlson brought his controversy to Danielle Smith's Calgary, then took her somewhere dicier. He literally is just talking about being free and not letting people just trounce on you. Stop acting like you don't have rights when you clearly do. You have a beautiful country. You should act like it's a beautiful country, and you should have control of it. That's all he's saying. And he didn't say anything about violence throughout the speech. Believe me, I listened to the whole thing twice. It's just wild. Absolutely wild. Now, this is an actual politician talking about what Tucker Carlson has done. The vile things Tucker Carlson has done. Here, let's get into this real quick. Let me bring this back here.
I mean, this goes beyond me and the fact that I was targeted last night at this event. This increases political violence against everyone who runs for office in this country, whether they're doing it at the municipal level, at the provincial level, or at the federal level. As my friend and colleague Randy said, like, we can have differences of opinion. We can bang our fist on the table when we meet. We can have strong disagreement. But to incite violence against people who disagree with you, that's not how things should be done in Canada.
Are you not contributing to the divide by coming out here and comparing Poilievre to this and making this about him? Are you not contributing to the divide by doing that? If your government has been accused,
we're not comparing Poilievre to him. I think what
you're not. Have you looked at your own advertising from
Mr. What Mr. Rodriguez just said is he said I'm asking Pierre Poilievre, the leader of the opposition, to condemn those hateful and violent statement by Tucker Carlson.
But are you not comparing?
He needs to condemn what he said. He said that we have beautiful mountains, and he needs to condemn those comments. He made jokes about our electricity. We need to condemn those comments. He said Justin Trudeau is in the closet. We need to condemn those comments. Oh man, I love it. I love it. I love politicians. They always just say the right thing. Now we got what else do I got here? Oh, we got this like weird story. I guess this is why all of this is taking place. Justin Trudeau, a federal court has declared that Trudeau's use of Emergencies Act, unconstitutional. Now, here's the thing with that. I don't know what that means. Like, I'll pull up this quick little blurb. So basically, what he did was he enacted some emergency act when the convoy was happening. Right, so the protests gripped downtown, Ottawa, border crossing, blah, blah, blah. I conclude that there was no national emergency justifying the invocation of the Emergency Act, and the decision to do so was therefore unreasonable. Now, here's the thing with that. You know, is he going to jail? Is he getting in trouble? Like, who cares otherwise? I don't know. Because you already know there was no emergency. If you looked at the convoy, it was just a bunch of people honking horns. There was no crazy emergency. You know? I don't know. Is he going to jail? Let me know if he's going to jail. Let me know when one of these politicians is going to jail. That's all I'm saying. All right, guys. Definitely check out what Tucker Carlson is doing on his Sworn Enemy tour. Check out if he is going to be somewhere near you. He is going, obviously, throughout Canada, obviously throughout the United States. He's probably even going to hit some places in Europe because he was doing that earlier in 2023. So go and check it out and see what he has in store for for a city near you. And other than that, man, that was the content ride. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like, subscribe, share. It helps the channel tremendously. You have no idea. And other than that, I am out.